7:05. Perfect. Thank you, Karen. All right, so it says 7:05, so I'm going to call the August 3rd Parks and Recreation Committee to order. And thank you everybody for working with us in August. I appreciate it. If we can just have a quick look at the agenda. Tonight, pretty much the only thing on the agenda is going to be talking about the Horse Creek Sports Park. Does anybody have any questions or any amendments they want to make to the agenda as presented? No? Great. So I think Dawn's going to make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Excellent, thank you. All in favor? Looks like it's approved unanimously. Thank you very much. Then we will look at the previous minutes. Just have a scan if anybody has any questions. Looked pretty good to me when I looked at it earlier. It's good, okay. So then, Derry, I will ask you to make the motion to adopt the previous minutes as presented.
Great, I'll motion to do that.
Excellent, thank you. All in favor? It passed unanimously. Okay, we are now then 4B, moving on to the fun part of the meeting, our update on the Horse Creek Sports Park.
Great. Yeah, thanks everybody, and thanks for taking time out of one of your summer evenings to join us. If you recall our last conversation, we had sort of two concepts that we discussed, and based on the feedback, we were really coming forward with one revised concept. And I know Greg and Kyle have done a lot of great work on this. So really tonight's meeting is to present that to you, and the details, have some discussion around that. And then certainly we do have some additional work to do around governance and operations, the phasing of this, and certainly how this is going to be financed in the future. I think those are three big topics to cover. But we really wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page based on the feedback, generally a little bit of excitement about the concept amongst this group, and obviously some support, and then go from there. So looking forward to your feedback on the concept. As I said, I think they've done some great work, and considering where we were with the last version with Southland being included, I'm just really excited about the addition of the added rec space and how everything works together. So without getting into too much more anticipation, I think I'll turn it over to Greg and Kyle to sort of share the presentation and get into some of the details that I'm sure you're excited to hear about too. But before I do that, does anybody have any questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any. So Greg, Kyle, we'll turn it over to you guys.
All right, thanks very much, Drew. Good evening, everybody. As always, appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. And yeah, we've got a small presentation tonight we're going to work through, and so yeah, maybe it'll be an early night for everybody. We'll see. Let me just pull the presentation up here. Can everybody see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Good, okay. Okay, so for tonight, yeah, as Drew said, we wanted to sort of take our last rendition where we worked through kind of two options and sort of chose a preferred option, and then see where we landed. The first thing we wanted to do was revisit our guiding principles, because we did make a couple of changes based on feedback that we had received. And so maybe quickly we can go through this. I'm understanding, again, this is a living document, and as we move through the process and the project, some things may still adjust or get added to this, but really wanted to focus on these components and really be able to demonstrate in the final design that we've captured, the essence of these principles with our final concept here. So 1 through 4 have remained the same, creating a 4-season recreational amenity that builds community, incorporating flexible amenities to accommodate multiple uses, including both active and passive recreation. Focus on amateur sports at a community scale with potential to enhance level of play and attract regional users, and accommodate people of all ages and abilities through accessible, inclusive design. Number 5, it seemed like there was a little bit of uncertainty around what this one actually meant. So I've tried to provide a bit more clarity for everybody on this. And so initially we had integrate strategic buffering through soft landscape design to complement core uses. And I just wanted to bring a little bit more understanding to kind of what we were trying to achieve through the landscape buffering. And so we've changed it to integrate strategic buffering through soft landscape design to promote separation of uses and enhance user safety. So it's really about using the landscapes and the buffer zones to clearly separate different sports, different activities, but also to provide space for landscape, trees, shrubs, etc., as a safety element as well, to sort of maintain, sight lines where we need to, but also, with potential balls flying around, making sure that we're utilizing those buffer spaces to mitigate any associated risk from a safety perspective. So hopefully that maybe is a little bit better way to promote that. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mhm.
Okay. Number 6 was the other one that we added to. Originally we had promote neighborhood connectivity and pedestrian circulation, but we've added promote neighborhood connectivity and support multimodal transportation with a focus on internal pedestrian circulation. So trying to really capture a bit more of the broader users and different transportation types with a focus internally on the pedestrian side, but providing obviously elements that support bus, bike, vehicle, etc. So that was the other change we made to the guiding principles. 7 through 10 remain the same. Prioritize and maintain existing view corridors, utilize sustainable water management practices, promote community integration through the culture of sport, and foster partnerships with community user groups and Rocky View schools. So any other comments or that we want to, do we want to make any revisions here? How is that kind of feeling for everybody?
Yeah.
Lloyd, I see you thinking deep thoughts. Do you have a comment?
Just on the pathway system connectivity, I'm sure that's going to be there coming out of, say, Heritage Hills. That's about the only avenue that we have access to at this point. But I know that's.
We do show some, yeah, we do show some connections on the concept, which we'll get to in a minute here.
Right.
Okay, so, Derry, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's number 6. It's a lot clearer now. It gives this impression of both connectivity to the surrounding neighborhoods like Heritage Hills, but also to the Horse Creek Road, which leads down to Heartland. But it also emphasizes the internal pedestrian circulation within the site. And I think that's a great improvement over what we had before.
Yeah,
Okay,
excellent
thank you.
points. Thanks, Derry. Dawn?
I just think it captures the discussions that we've had, so well done.
Okay, I can
And the
echo
one thing I
that.
would say is that you guys will be able to be the judge, particularly with that internal circulation. There's so many different uses. You know, this plan, again, I don't want, there's a lot in there, and how people are going to circulate and in this, I think is going to be really important, but it's also how people get there. And if we can have people walking, riding their bikes, taking transit, it's going to even be better. So.
Okay, so I think we've got,
I just had a quick question. Sorry, Tara.
yeah, go ahead.
I couldn't get my hand up fast enough. I just wonder, when I read number 5 and promote and enhance user safety, the words "and enjoyment" came into my head, because like overall what we're trying to do is create a really positive user experience, and that we don't really say that in here, but it might be kind of nice, because the whole idea is with the connectivity, with the, you know, the different users, with the landscape design, like all of that's going to improve the experience also. So just a thought.
Well, I'm good with that amendment. What does everybody else think?
Very subjective.
Yeah. Well, and enjoyment, I guess. Yeah, for sure. But I think that it's subjective. Like everybody can enjoy it in their own way, I guess, right? Because there's going to be so much to offer there. But I'm not tied to that. It just sort of jumped into my head as a nice addition there, since that's what we're trying to do.
Well, I can go either way. What does the group think? Dawn?
I appreciate the thought, but I don't think it fits under strategic buffering under the lead into that statement. I get what you're trying to say, though, Leah, in terms of what we're trying to do is build an amenity that provides people with positive experiences.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah,
that's very subjective.
Either way, true. Yep.
Yeah, if you lose a game, that's not a positive experience for many people.
Okay, well, let's leave it as is. We'll go through the presentation. We can muse on it, and then at the end of tonight, we can have some final thoughts on it. But for now, I think it hits, you know, the guiding principles that we had talked about. And so just consider these 10, maybe mark them in your head right now as we go through the presentation, and see if what we've come up with fits the parameters. So back over to you, gentlemen.
Thanks, everybody. Okay, so this, as you'll recall, was the option 2 that we presented at the last meeting. That was largely preferred for a number of reasons. And so what we've done is we've taken this now to a new level of detail, and we've got a few minor changes to address some feedback that we got last time. And so here is where we've landed. Let's see if I can make this a bit larger. So essentially, all the components are generally in the same position in terms of layout. One of the important pieces that we talked about in a couple of meetings was trying to achieve that sort of one dedicated field for each of the soccer, rugby, and baseball. And I think largely one of the reasons this concept was preferred was because of the dedicated baseball diamond and how that was able to kind of fit into the mix here. So the feedback that we received moving forward from that option 2, there were a couple of comments related to the location of the hockey rinks relative to the clubhouse and being a bit far away. And so this is kind of where, this area is where the a little bit of revision has been made to where we've we've sort of jigged a little bit of the clubhouse footprint, location, and worked the hockey rinks around it, so that they were adjacent to the clubhouse, as well as the leisure ice area, which you see here, which also has adjacency to the building and the parking as well. So we think that addresses that feedback, and do think it was positive and works out better here for this space and for the uses in terms of proximity and being user friendly. It does give us in the summertime, some nice open space too in front of the clubhouse that can be used for various passive or recreation pieces. And then it allows us at the corner here, the entrance to this internal road to have some form of an entry feature or signage or something of that nature that could be integrated into the landscape along with this. So we really like having that opportunity as a focal point and a welcome and entrance to the park. The other comment was that there was a preference to have an additional playground here on the south side of the Quad Diamonds. And so we've incorporated another playground down here as well, adjacent to the parking lot, so easy access, kind of on axis with the center of the Quad Diamonds here, so there's good visibility. What we did is, you'll notice from the original concept, this collector road had kind of jogged in a little bit at this point, and we've sort of brought it out a little bit more adjacent to this easement and gained a little bit more recreation space in here. So we were able to actually accommodate two multi-purpose court spaces that you can see there could accommodate a total of 4 full court basketball games, or again could be used as other hard surface courts, whether it be pickleball or other things that could be played there. So we've been able to add another surface here as well, in conjunction with this clubhouse space and these other uses here. Those were kind of fundamentally, from a layout perspective, the only differences. Everything else kind of remains the same. You'll notice here this bigger field to the north of the Quad Diamonds. This is our dedicated rugby field. So because they do play on a longer field, we were able to accommodate that in this location by just working with the size of the parking lot and the playground and plaza space next to it. So we had some flexibility there to be able to accommodate that to the right scale. That could be dedicated rugby. Also, could be soccer and just play on a longer field. Still have the other 3 soccer/rugby fields here, the dedicated baseball diamond, bike facilities to the north, along with the potential maintenance facility, which, there's still some question marks around if it is needed, and if so, how big does it need to be, but potential to be overflow parking from an immediate use. And then you can see kind of how the storm ponds work out. There's certainly some flexibility there as we move into detailed design and what that footprint needs to look like. I know Kyle's been doing some work in the background with our stormwater folks to start to narrow some of those details down. We did want to provide a pathway system around it and use it as an amenity space as well, and showed a little bit of a gathering space here with potentially some form of shade structure or as a lookout to these ponds. So a little bit of a passive recreation use there. The school site still remains right around that 30-acre size. We wanted to show some parking and some footprints there, just to demonstrate that there is plenty of space to make that layout work. We showed the additional soccer fields as potential as a shared use with the school here. What else? Oh, one thing I think is important to note on the total parking units. We had one of the things that was raised earlier on was we thought maybe we were a bit overparked, and we wanted to scale back on that. So we've landed currently approximately 460 stalls here between the various parking areas throughout the site. In comparison to what our original concept had from the end of last year, we were at 618, and so a net reduction of 158 parking stalls. With that, though, the main collector road is drawn at a scale that could accommodate parallel parking on either side. So, that's something we can work through as we move into the details as to, what does the cross section of that road actually want to look like? Do we want to accommodate parking on one side, both sides, et cetera? Also potential it is wide enough to accommodate on-street bike lane would be another consideration. That were something we wanted to explore as well as we kind of move further down the process. So what else can I tell you guys? I think that's largely summary. It's very much the same as what you would have seen, other than those few minor changes there around the clubhouse. And yeah, we've worked out a few more details and feel comfortable with the way everything fits on the site and how things are working together and in proximity to each other. And we've shown a level of detail in terms of pathways and circulation through the site. You can kind of see these lighter gray. These are all sort of the connectivity pieces, on both sides of the road, as well as, taking you through the park, all of the major components. There will likely be some secondary and tertiary pathway pieces that will be in addition to what we've shown here at this scale, but we think we've kind of captured the intent of the internal pedestrian circulation for the site here.
Greg, did you want to point out the transit plaza as well? And
yeah, good point, Drew. Thank you. Yeah, we've shown transit plaza here. So, fairly close to our park entry for easy access. Thinking about circulation route coming through around the parking lot to get back out makes it pretty easy from that perspective. So I think convenience wise, I think that works pretty well from what we've heard around the needs for that, and sort of puts you right at kind of the center of this activity here.
And Greg, the only other things that I think we had talked about is there's a couple sort of community connections on the south side into
That's right.
Heritage Hills. So it's going to be, one of the things there are with these community connections too. It's going into the open space network in Heritage Hills and the school site, particularly on the east side. So I think there's some real benefit to that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, maybe I'll just open up to any questions or comments.
Sure. Just before I turn it over to the group, sorry, can you give the full map again there? Yeah, so I've never actually asked this, but I just assumed it with the trail network, you know, the squiggly lines that are showing the trail, those are just lines on a map to infer that there's going to be trails up there, and those will be mapped out and picked later, or were they actually picked along?
You're talking up in this area here?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, those are just a very sort of conceptual layout, just to indicate that we do want to have a trail system and some sort of a high point that is a lookout at the top. And we want to be able to accommodate that and have some connection points. But whether it precisely looks like that or not, or how many of them there are, not sure yet.
yeah, that's what I thought that was trying to infer. So yeah, and just one thing more before I turn it over to the group. I was really glad to see we brought the baseball diamond facing up the hill into play. And so the tweaks that you made, I really feel reflected a lot of the feedback and the conversation we had in the last meeting. So those are my initial thoughts. So turning it now over to our group. And so, because I'm just me. So Mr. Disnick, as a recent graduate and a future planner, what are your first takes?
I think it's really good. I think the addresses a lot of the issues that were raised last month, especially with the ice rinks and the parking and the addition of that extra playground. I like the addition of the connections to Heritage Hills. And yeah, no, I don't see the issues with it.
Perfect. I agree. Okay. Trying to think. Lloyd, is it hitting as a champion of, connectivity and hiking?
I think what I see, I really like so all the pathways, connectivity throughout, and it can be expanded as time goes on. But no, I like what I see, and well done.
Perfect. I'm glad to hear that. Neil, your thoughts?
Oh, it expresses exactly what we spoke about last month, and I'm really happy with what I see here. It's good work. Thank you.
Perfect. Derry?
Yeah, just echoing the same kind of thing. I really do like how you've put the pathways right through the middle of the quad diamonds. That may have been the intention all along, but it's really clear in this detailed rendition. So I think that solves the problem of the big, what could have been a potential obstacle because of the quad diamonds, and it's gone, and it looks really good. And also good work around the clubhouse. And I think you've integrated all of the feedback. You've done a great job of integrating both sometimes competing feedbacks into one really coherent plan. And yeah, I can't wait to see it. I know it's a long way out.
Yeah, we're going to have more work to do before we can get to actually being on it. Mark?
I'm quite a visual individual, but what I really like is as individuals are coming or people are coming into our community to enjoy this area, they're seeing the lakes and the leisure ice area as they're coming in. Very inviting, very pretty. I really like that aspect of it. What I was going to ask was, you have two clubhouses, it looks like. I'm just wondering if that's just a function of your program, so you've got one over top of the other, or how is sort of the L shape of the clubhouses? What do you have in mind for how those are designed? That would be my first question. And then I think from a soccer and rugby point of view, if they were to be asked which field they would like, and there's been a lot of discussion about the premier field built at the highest level, they would like that to be the one closest to the clubhouse, as would, I believe, probably the baseball diamond, and forgive me, I believe that'd be the southwest corner. Can you confirm that those will be the premier ones as well?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the intent would certainly be that southernmost soccer field there adjacent to the clubhouse. You know, if we were going to do a higher level of service for one field, that would certainly be the one. In terms of the quad diamonds, you know, I think that's probably further discussion around, is there one of the quad that is, you know, different, or are they all kind of built to the same level of service? But yeah, certainly if we were to upgrade one of them, I think, yeah, in close proximity to the clubhouse would make the most sense, for sure. To your question about the sort of the design of the clubhouse itself, it's really nothing more than a graphic at this point, just to sort of represent, you know, some architectural interest. And you know, I think, you know, that's a piece that, you know, could add obviously a lot of character to the site as well. And you mentioned, you know, kind of that sort of view into the site, you know, sort of a nice, you know, architectural building could add to that as well. But yeah, at this point, you know, we obviously want to have some sort of, you know, thinking like about wraparound patios and things like that for people to be able to be out and enjoying the viewing and whatnot. But at the time, really just you know, kind of a graphic to demonstrate you know, some interest for the architecture there.
So, sorry, and just to follow up, how many months of say like ice time could we get out of that location? Just wondering, is there enough time to justify two hockey rinks, or could the northern one be a playground, as the soccer moms I've talked to have really enjoyed, you know, a playground close to the fields and whatnot like that, and has been talked about by our committee earlier as well.
Yeah, I think the two hockey rinks were largely based on what the open space master plan had indicated, you know, for future use. But yeah, certainly, you know, maybe there's a you know, a temporary use that happens, you know, from the start, and see what kind of usage the one hockey rink gets. So I think there's lots of flexibility there to, you know, potentially, you know, when we look at phasing, you know, that could be something we consider as well.
Great, thank you very much. And again, great work.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Dawn, your thoughts?
I missed the last meeting, but I did watch it on YouTube. So I'm really, really pleased with what I'm seeing. And I think overall, the discussions that we've had, you've done an excellent job of trying to capture all of the different activities, both passive and active recreation and sport. And I just think kudos to you. I think you've done a really good job.
Thank you.
Drew, your comments, questions, highlights?
Well, I just wanted to share, I think that Greg and Kyle have done a fantastic job when we start talking about the principles that we started with, but also the integration of the school side. I think there's such an opportunity where in the future, when this is all complete, that you're going to have people engaged in, you know, high performance athletics. You're going to have playgrounds. You're going to have people passively walking through these areas, families gathering. There's schools. It just hits on all the points I think that we started. And then, you know, I'd be really interested in certainly the members who previously were a part of this and their feedback with the changes post Southland not being there. And you know, my perspective is certainly we have a product at the end of the day that I think we can all be much more proud of, and will deliver, you know, lasting benefit to Cochrane and its residents. So, but I'd be interested in the people who went through the first version, their feedback on that.
So Dawn, you were with us on that. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think having Southland not on the site has been a huge, huge bonus to the site in terms of giving us the opportunity to really look at it with the addition of some of the amenities and stuff. So I think it's a very robust plan, and I think the real key is going to be the implementation of it, which we've talked about all the way along in terms of how it's going to be managed and the operations and that type of thing. But again, I think it's a great plan.
Perfect. Lloyd, we've been together since the beginning. Your thoughts? Oh, you're muted, Lloyd.
Well, I'm done. I'm back. I just like what Dawn alluded to. I did watch the last month's meeting on Zoom, and I agree with what she just said, that we've come a long ways, and I really like what I see now. I think it's going to come to pass, and we've got a good start here. Thank you.
Perfect. Anyone else want to comment? Sorry, I'm just scrolling up and down here. Everybody seems flag it or just speak up. I am trying to watch, but just in case I miss it. No, I really actually do appreciate the Southland's not part of this. And also the solar panel conversation's not there. I think it's really important that this site be dedicated to, recreation and those enjoyment, and not to mix the uses between, an industrial use and a recreation use. So I really like where it's landed. I think maybe I have two questions. The playing fields by the school, are those outside the zone? The big question, I guess, is who are those school playing fields, or are those playing fields that belong to this site? And ultimately who, well, I guess that'll be the next conversation of how we divvy up paying for these creatures.
They're really intent. Oh, sorry, Greg. I don't know what you're going to answer, but they're really
Go
intent.
ahead, Drew.
They're intended, Councilor McFadden, to be conceptual, and again, I wanted to put those on there, but I think there's opportunities to work with the school board, and they're going to see the proximity of the other soccer and rugby fields, and is there an opportunity to perhaps even do something unique on their site? Again, they always have a football field typically, and soccer fields, but again, they've got a large property there, and again, even with this concept, I know Fiona is not here tonight, but we'll need to get their feedback on this as well. Sorry, Greg, didn't mean to cut you off.
Nope, all good, Drew. Thank you.
Okay, and then Leah, you have questions, thoughts?
No, I think it looks fantastic, and it does really reflect all of the conversations. And I do think that the sport groups that we've heard from, I think their needs have been really well represented and considered in here. So I think it looks great. I was going to ask about the solar panel, so I obviously missed the conversation when those got taken off the table. So that's fine. And everything else, yeah, I like the idea of considering the size of that ice and whether we need both of those, and yeah, and then the negotiation with the school and the kind of partnerships to really work with the various sport groups and partners to bring this to life. So well done.
Yes. So I'm not seeing any other comments for our group, new comments. Lloyd, did you have anything new? Are we good?
Well, I do like the idea, like down in the corner there with next to the hockey rinks, there's those basketball courts, and what Kyle said, something about, could be used for pickleball, could be a multi-use court, tennis. It's nice to see that aspect in there. So some of the people will be happy with that. Maybe some people not, but no, it's a good addition. I like it.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that point. So yeah, Greg, Kyle, just to echo what everybody said, you've done a great job of bringing together a lot of different concepts, ideas, needs and demands. And I think you've helped craft a really great product as a first step of making this reality. So thank you very much for your work. I think you served us very well, and I'm very impressed. So yeah, so thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that, and thanks to all of you. I mean, it's been a great process for us too, and the transparent feedback has been fantastic and allowed us to kind of evolve the design. And get to this point. So yeah, really, it's been a great process for us as well.
Excellent. So then, as much as, you know, we want to celebrate, just a reminder to the group and to everybody that this is kind of the first step or first milestone in making this project a reality. I think we, you know, way back when we first did the meetings with the community, the delegation day and understanding their needs. So we've been able to create, I think, a solid vision. But often the vision is the easy part, and taking it to the next step of delivering it is also going to be part of this committee's work. So this piece, I really do see if the committee is satisfied and approves as kind of this document, that'll be the first marker. But future work for this, we still have to determine and make recommendations on the governance of the site, you know, how it's going to operate, how we're going to govern it, the phasing of it, because I know there are pieces that might be able to come on sooner, those type of conversations, and of course the financing of the site. And maybe Greg, Kyle, you can, do we have a ballpark number? I think everything in Cochrane right now is costing $50 million, but maybe if you ballpark it better for me.
Right now, that's the number we've kind of been going with. But I think now that we have this final version, I think we can sit down and look at it a bit closer and get some numbers that are going to be more realistic to what this will actually cost based on you know, what we have, the scale of things. This is certainly enough detail for us to get into, I think, that next level of you know, reality in terms of what we're looking at.
Okay, excellent. So then question for you, Drew, what, so next steps for this group for today, I was thinking that the group could, you know, accept it for information and recommend that it be presented to council in September if possible.
Well, given there's Councilor McFadden, there's only one more council meeting, I think that would probably be the best decision. Certainly if the committee is comfortable, and we did receive quite a good feedback on this. If the committee wished to accept it as information and then recommend that it be presented to council, and it would be for council's information as well, because I think there is that additional work that you referenced in terms of, you know, governance, how, you know, the phasing for this, and then of course financing, because I think those are some pretty critical questions. So when we do, if we go that direction and present to council on September 13th, what I want to be careful and just share with the committee is, with the last version that we did, and we, you know, went through a similar process, but then council ultimately approved the vision, and then there was a big announcement. What the town and administration faced was we were flooded immediately, even though we said this is our vision and we're going to take, you know, several years to implement this. We didn't really work on the implementation plan, and then the expectations for all these community groups were extremely high, and everyone was contacting administration. I know Councillor McFadden had a number of inquiries as well, and people were like, all right, when's the rugby field being built? And we didn't have answers to the question. So I don't want to repeat that if we can avoid it. And I think we just need to be strategic and get council, because this council, again, has been very important in this process and supporting this committee moving forward, to report back to them prior to the end of their term. And then certainly there is more work for us to do and get the input of this committee. And then we'll work towards a finished product where we could have answers to governance phasing and financing to really complement this vision. So that's what I would recommend tonight.
So Drew, I'm just, if everybody wants to have a look in the chat box, I'm just proposing a motion that we can work through as a group. So currently, I'm just saying that, so in what I'm hearing from the group is that, you know, we endorse both we endorse the report. So we accept the report for information and endorse its presentation to council for information and direction. Does that, gentlemen, Drew, your thoughts? That would allow council to then, receive it and then, formally direct next steps of this work.
Yes, I think that that makes sense from my perspective, and if council then supports that, this committee knows that they'll have an opportunity to get into the finer details of implementation and including governance, phasing, and financing. So.
Yeah, okay. Lloyd, comments, questions?
None?
None? Okay. I just don't want to miss anybody as I scroll up and down the screen here. Okay, everybody looks good. Okay, so okay, so the guiding principles, we had a bit of a chat at the beginning, but are we satisfied with where they are overall? We're not going to tell anybody they have to have fun. It's just understood you're going to have fun.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense to leave them as is for sure.
Okay.
Just in
Great.
that, yeah, in that place. Yep.
Okay, so if we are comfortable with that motion then, and I think probably what we'll ask is if Drew and I can get it to come to council for information, is perhaps have ask Dawn if potentially you could come to council. I can speak to it as well, but we can work out those details and make sure that the committee's any comments or questions that the committee has can be represented there. So the motion then that I'm asking Dawn to put on the floor, if she's comfortable with it, is that the motion as read.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, it is passed unanimously. All right, so thank you very much. And thank you, group. I mean, this is the fun part of planning. So if we get directed to focus on the next steps of it, as Drew had indicated, there's the governance and which is the governance and the operations of it, the phasing, what's possible, and financing. And one of the things we really do need to make sure we're constantly communicating to the community is that this is the first step, and it's an important step, but there's a lot of important work to be done before we can, meaningfully advance this. So we don't have a timeline for it. Okay, so that's great work on that one. Thank you, group. So that's 4BI. And my goal is to always shorten our meetings through the summer. Greg and Kyle, we're probably going to wrap up in the next 5 minutes. You're welcome to stay, but if you would like to say goodbye for the evening and get back to your summers, that's completely acceptable as well.
Thank you, everybody.
Excellent. All right, we will see you gentlemen again. Thank you so much for your work.
Okay, good night.
Thanks a lot. Good night.
Okay, so then moving along.
Tara, can I make a comment?
Yes, please do.
I know Drew's probably already thinking about the management and the operations and all that kind of stuff, but I'm just wondering from a process perspective, if administration could look at, I don't know the history of how the town of Cochrane has done agreements with groups in the past, or that what the context is for that decision making. So I'm wondering if administration, when it comes down to sit and talk about the governance and operations, could bring forward their recommendations to us and some history behind some of those things. I think it would be really helpful to the committee rather than starting from scratch at this point. I'm sure everybody has ideas, but I think it would be really well to have it grounded.
We'd be happy to do that, Dawn. I think one of the challenges for me is with a planning background is that this is the part that I'm have lots of experience in terms of next steps and how to manage a recreation for the community. Is probably not my area of expertise, but certainly that's something I think as an organization, as our new CAO is here and he's looking at the future of our organization, I think that's probably one of the gaps that not only council is recognized, but we've recognized. So, we not only need the resources to move this project forward, but that guidance in terms of how we would do that. from a governance perspective to share with this committees for your input, I think is really important as well.
And Dawn, I really appreciate the perspective of like, let's bring the experience to the table and not recreate the wheel. But I think we might be doing a lot of recreating a wheel in doing this. That we've never, we've never brought on a recreation project of this magnitude. Even Spray Lakes was evolutionary in nature, bit by bit. But as Drew had indicated, we do have an organizational gap in the organization with community services. And so we'll have to have council's direction and endorsement and have some dedicated resources to put towards this to advance it. But it's a good point. So so taking this work, we'll put it to council and we will get direction from there on what, on how we'll advance it and what this group's role will be. And I would certainly hope that it'll be an important role, but we will find out.
One thing I can contribute, I don't know if this is the rabbit hole we want to go down at this time of the night, but I'll just throw it out there that just in sort of working with various groups across the country and similar projects, I could look into, some different models and then maybe we could arrange some different presentations or even just information of what other groups have done. Because I think there's, again, to your point, Dawn, and Tara, of not reinventing the wheel. We can learn from what others have done, I think, as well, because I agree there is an opportunity here to fill that recreation with some really strong leadership and people with a solid recreation background that understand the business and the business and this sector of recreation, right? So it's a very exciting opportunity, but I'd be happy to just look into some different options, and then I can just share what I find even just through email.
Yeah, Lee, I think that would be great. And that is one of the point in recruiting this diverse group of public members is to bring those skill sets, concepts, and perspectives to the table so we can, add value to the process. So yeah, if you can, I'm just going to suggest over August and through the presentations in September, you don't need to put too much work into it until we get clear direction. Yeah. But if anybody has that experience to bring to the table, it would be great. Anyone else? Okay, so I think we're going to wrap up this section. So, and again, respecting everybody's summertime, we'll try to wrap this up. So just on, council priorities, right now, council's pretty much wrapped up, has wrapped up for the summer. We had our meeting a week ago, it was kind of our last council meeting before the summer break in August. And then we have the election October 18th, I believe. And so in a normal year, we would go back to council as normal in September. This year, we just have one council meeting before the election, which is the September 18th meeting, I believe. And so kind of the council's work in policy and governance is pretty much come to an end. Although what we are seeing is and quite actually, I'm glad to see it, the public engagement work that we haven't seen since COVID hit. My inbox is starting to fill up with those different opportunities to represent the community to itself. So as we're starting to see, I think the rodeo's back on and the different community events are looking to re-engage, and which is great. So the kind of the council work of representing the community to itself is picking up again. So that's kind of the nature of council for the next couple of months. And then pending the election on the 18th, the new council gets sworn in shortly thereafter, and you'd have an organization meeting, I believe, in the first meeting in November. I'm going to get it wrong, but an organization meeting where council committees and appointments and swearing in happens after the next election. So that might affect the leadership of this committee, but that's as far as I'm going to go into that. So that's the process of that. So council priorities, you may have noticed there's some summer construction going on, particularly on the Hill. That was supposed to be funny. So the 1A work is underway. That's scheduled to go till the fall, so potentially November. They're working hard to get that done. And it's pretty much, the first step. This is the project that the municipality stepped up to carry and to fund primarily of that widening. Then the second part of the project is between 5th and where the 22-1A intersection upgrade would be. And then the third project is the province's 22-1A project, which all indications that we're getting is it's still on track. You know, for them to put it out to tender and start construction potentially next year, the year after, but I can never speak for the province. But every indication we're getting at this point is that it's on track. So in addition to improving the transportation, which you know, we committed to doing, the RCMP, the new Protective Services building, which will house the RCMP, our peace officers, the sheriffs, etc., is underway. And of course, we have the work going on the Transit Hub and Innovation Center, which is called the Station. And we ran into the bump there with, once they started the work, they found contamination. When the municipality was looking at buying that site, we did, I mean, it's the old Esso bulk station. We're not surprised that something would be going on there. But at the time we did get a study done. So they did test sites and they didn't come up with anything. It looked like the site was good. We even paid an extra study to get that study audited. And so, you know, we did what we could to kind of mitigate the risk. But once we started digging, we found the contamination. So, you know, it's unfortunate there. It's unfortunate that it's there, but I think it's fortunate that we know it's there, and also that the municipality owns it, because that means we control the cleanup and we make sure that it's done. So just kind of, sometimes we just pay the price of history, I guess. So those are 3 major projects that are going on right now. And all of them are forward-looking projects that I think are really building to the future. So yeah, it's been a busy year. I'm super proud of the municipal team, all of our staff that have managed to, through COVID, continue to create a community and advance these major projects. So I'm super proud of all of the administrative team. So it is good. So that's kind of the council priorities at this point. If anybody has any questions on that. No, okay, good. Drew, did you have anything from the administrative lens?
The only thing I would add is just to complement the comments you had on the transit hub and innovation. So there is a crossing of the railway tracks there as well that we're working with CP. If you've been reading the paper, there's a lot of attention for the train from the airport to Banff. Conveniently, when they're talking about it, they seem to fail to mention that Cochrane is along that right of way, but hopefully we'll change that, because we have a site right downtown that will have a train station. So I think we're one of the few communities where Calgary's, you know, making efforts to try and solidify a location for theirs. We already have ours, and I think Banff and ourselves are the ones with the strategically set up. So I think we'll see as the the federal election moves forward, perhaps more information on that, because it seems to be certainly gathering a lot of momentum. But other than that, the 3 projects are ongoing. Administration continues to be busy, and just appreciate everybody's work on this committee. It's great working with everybody and getting your input. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Drew, and pass on, and Karen, thank you for your help on this committee. I know you thought you were getting a chance to pass the baton, but we reined you back in. So thank you. Committee priorities, any questions around those right now? Or thoughts? So the way I see it right now is this work's been done. It'll be presented to the committee. In previous years, what we did is we worked with, kind of with Brad to review the parks capital budget and to provide comment into their 3-year plan. So I imagine that work, hopefully we can get that work happening again for this group. So I think we'll see this work, and hopefully that come back to this committee again this fall. But any other thoughts or questions around your priorities as the committee? No? Perfect. Everybody's saying no. Leah's thinking deep thoughts. Excellent. A quick roundtable then. Questions, comments? No, good. Nobody's twitching. Excellent. So, oh, Lloyd, go ahead.
I got a couple of things here, Tara, I'd
Sure.
like to pass on. Drew, I want to commend you on your review of our new communities coming up in town here in the Calgary Herald last week. You did a wonderful job. And you look good doing that too. So the only thing I would have is, on those, there's two of them. I think it's Precedence and New Providence. Is that correct?
Precedence is one of the new communities that we referenced.
Okay. My only comment is that I hope our pathway system, as we have it now, complete with connectivity, is also included in those new districts.
Oh, it is, Lloyd. Again, if you go up to Precedence, I'd encourage your walking group. If you go near the show homes and you go behind, it's not complete, but there is quite a nice pathway, and you get some great views into towards Spray Lakes downtown. Of course, there's going to be future connections that come down to James Walker Trail and the bridge. So yes, we
Good.
are prioritizing connections and connectivity as much as we can.
Good to hear. And also, I hope it includes an off-leash dog area.
There are a number of off-leash dog areas that are considered throughout the community, but there's not one in Precedence specifically.
Okay. Well, it's so much easier to put it in day one instead of, a couple of years down the road, as we're trying to find out now. So I just wanted to make sure maybe that might be in the planning stage.
There are a number of other ones. I think the next one, there was one, Heritage Hills, that's probably quite some time because of the land isn't being developed right now. Sunset Ridge has one upcoming. There's one in Fireside. And then the one South Bow Landing, that's probably a little bit further out as well. Those are the ones that certainly come to mind right away.
Good. You mentioned the walking group. The Cochrane Men's Walking Group are up and running again. We shut down November 30 because of the COVID protocol, but we started up again July 12 when a lot of those restrictions were lifted. And from July 12 to July 31st, Leah, here's the number. We have 126 participants in that short span. The boys they just want to get back at it. They want to get walking again, and it's happening. So that's an update on the Cochrane Men's Walking Group. One last item now, the White Museum in Banff, they have a video put out on Glenn Bowles. Glenn Bowles is one of our ex-mountaineer photographer, and we have a section of the West Pathway named after Glenn, and it's quite a good video. I watched it yesterday, and well worth watching. So if anybody would like, I can send them the link for that. So just very well done.
Well, yeah, Lloyd, send the link through to everybody.
Okay,
If
I'll
you
do
could.
that.
That'd be great.
Okay, so that's my round table discussion, Tara. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, we know Alex graduated. He's looking for work as a planner. So if anybody knows a good municipality. And anybody else? No? All right.
I have a
Oh,
quick
yes, Leah,
update.
go ahead.
I always wait too long, hey? I have a quick update. So next week on the 11th, I think I mentioned at the last meeting, we do have our next Cochrane Sport Network meeting, and we're not sure if we're going to do it in person yet. I suspect we may do one more on Zoom. We're planning it on Friday. But if any of you are ever interested in coming just as a guest or to listen in and kind of hear the conversations that are happening with the 27 or 28 different sport organizations that are represented there, you're more than welcome. So I just wanted to let you know
Leah,
that.
why don't you send that invite out to the group?
Sure.
And then they can, I would normally sign up to do that, but I'm going to do this thing called taking vacation.
Yay, that's important. Good. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. It'll probably go out Friday. Summer, everything gets pushed back. So I'll probably send it out on Friday sometime. So I'll send that to the group.
Perfect. All right. Okay, last chance. Nobody's twitching. Perfect. All right, well, with that group, I will call our meeting to a close at 8:10. Thank you very much for your time on an August evening. I really appreciate it. And we will see you in September. So thank you. Get out and enjoy the trails and enjoy summer.
Take care.
Cheers.